Sonny Melendrez, Sonny Radio, sunnyradio.com.
Hello, it's Sonny Melendrez, and welcome to the positive side of the radio spectrum. This is the all-new Sonny Melendrez Show. Now, each week we strive to bring you inspiration and entertainment through storytelling, fascinating guests, exclusive celebrity interviews, and it's all delivered with lots of enthusiasm. You might say we're located at the corner of entertainment and inspiration. And now, on with the show.
Sunny Radio, sunnyradio.com, San Antonio.
Well, my guest today is a born optimist, a self-empowered woman, and a true inspiration. Moczygemba is a legend in the world of speaking. Lee is president of Amazing Speakers and Trainers International and winner of countless awards. And at age 94, she doesn't mind me telling you, Lee has the energy of someone one-third her age. Lee, what a joy it is to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you. Sometimes you have to fake it till you make it.
That's true, but I think you've made it more than anything else because you had an interesting childhood, and tell me about that part of your journey.
Oh, my. Well, let's get quickly through that because it was a miserable childhood. I was blessed with wonderful parents, and I went through school, and I was absolutely normal until I hit 13. And over the summer, I shot up almost 6 feet tall. I was 5'11", and that ruined everything. It destroyed my self-confidence, and I was gawky and awkward. And so I became a misfit, and I had this horrible inferiority complex. And the one thing that saved me was somehow or other I had always been a ham, and I loved to make people laugh, and I could tell stories. So I took speech when I got to high school, speech and drama. And that speech teacher was straight from heaven. He was my savior. He encouraged me, and he told me I had a special gift that I could really hold people's attention and express myself in a way that was powerful. And so he said, "You need to go to New York, Lee." And I went home and told my mother, Mr. Craddock says for me to go to New York, Mother. And she says, "You tell Mr. Craddock to shut his mouth. You're not about to go to New York." So that ended my New York venture right there. And I put speaking on the hold, except speaking occasionally. I really didn't have a very happy high school experience. And I did not, I didn't like myself. I compared myself to everybody else, and all my girlfriends were more popular and prettier, and everything about I felt was second class. But yet I had this extreme drive and ambition. I just wanted to be somebody.
So once you became an adult, did you pursue speaking?
I wanted to major in it in college, but I didn't want to be a school teacher, and there was no profession then of speaking. And so I didn't know what to do with it, and so I didn't major. And my mother would die if I went to New York, so speech and drama was out. So I majored in clothing and costume design. From clothing and costume design, I made straight A's in everything I did, but the teacher never knew that I almost killed myself working overtime at doing my drawings over and over and over again because I was clumsy and awkward, and it did not come easily. Therefore, I pronounced myself without talent. And when I graduated, my teacher told me, she was so happy for me that I had a brilliant future ahead of me. And I thought, you just don't know. Just because I made A's on these things, you don't know what it went through to make the A's. And so I thought that a gift flowed, that you didn't have to work at the gift.
Sure. So you were working really hard to do that well, and yet you had this other hidden talent that you wouldn't have to work so hard at.
That's right. That's right. And so I never did anything with that degree and thank God I got that degree. That helped me throughout life. I missed that chance. And so when I was 35 years old, I happened to meet a man. I don't remember his name or the circumstances or what, but I do remember this emphatic, dramatic experience I had. In conversation, he said, "Lee, you know about Beethoven, don't you?" And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" He said, Beethoven worked hard at everything he did. He rewrote his Fifth Symphony 31 times. And I said, "I never heard that." And said, "Yes, he did. In fact, he rewrote everything over and over and over again." Well, that man didn't know it, but it hit me like a ton of bricks. I went home and I thought, oh, my God, Beethoven was a genius. If he had to work hard, maybe I missed the boat by not, maybe if I'd kept at it, I could have been good at it. Oh, dear God, I'm so sorry. If you ever give me the feeling that I could do something ever again, no matter what it is, I promise you, I make a vow to you, I'll follow through with it, whatever it takes. And sure enough, 15 years later, at age 50, here it was. I saw a speaker. I was the secretary at Exxon, and I also saw trainers that they brought in. And the most important, I saw those checks come across my desk. Oh, my God. I thought, how can any human being but a doctor, a brain surgeon, get $5,000 for a speech or for $10,000 for a workshop? Oh, my God. And so I thought, that's what I want to be. And that's when the speaking, after all those years, I had some confidence in my speaking. And then I was blessed with a natural sense of humor. I could always make people laugh. And so I didn't have it easy. It was a long road.
Now, I have to ask you, because at that point, when you decided that you wanted to be a speaker and you started pursuing that, started going to these conferences and learning about everything, in fact, I think you even took a Dale Carnegie course, you also would have to leave your security at Exxon. I mean, you had tenure there, you had all the benefits, everything else. Now, what where you were at that crossroads, what happened then?
Well, what happened was I had wonderful bosses right up until the last boss. And the last boss I had for 2 years, my last 2 years, was mean, and he didn't like me, and he did not want me to be a secretary. And so he just put me through, anyways, he put me through misery. And so he's the one that gave me permission to be out of the building. He gave me permission to go to every seminar that came to town. And I went to seminars to learn, or workshops to learn how to give one. And it even gave me the Dale Carnegie course, and that was my finishing school. That gave me the confidence that, wham, I was a natural-born ham, and they brought it out in me. I wasn't a complete fool, Sonny. I started to leave Exxon. I went down to the accounts department and told them I was so miserable I had to leave. And they said, well, if you can hang on 6 months until January, you can walk out with a golden handshake. And I said, I'll be dead in 6 months. I can't do it. And they said, Lee, listen to us. We know this is too good to miss. So they told me that if I could stay, I would have an annuitant the rest of my life, annuity. And I would have my medical benefits, dental and medical, from Aetna the rest of my life, including my husband. And I would buy, get this, I would be able to buy gasoline with a 10% discount the rest of my life.
Wow.
That was a little token then, because gasoline about 13 cents a gallon. And
all of that if you'd hung in there for 6 more months.
Yeah, it was just torture. It was just torture. And I had the good Lord bless me in many ways during those 6 months, or I never could have made it. But after that 6 months, I got out, and the day after I left Exxon, I had the most empty feeling and scared, and I thought, what do I do now? I need a boss. I need somebody to tell me what do I do. And I had never been without a boss before.
Mm.
And so I just had a miserable time. I had spent all of my energy studying the information, and I really had a fabulous background of knowledge of what to teach, and I wanted to be a trainer as well as a speaker. So I had really gone through all the classics. I'm sure you know them, Sonny. Andrew Carnegie, Napoleon Hill.
Sure.
All those wonderful books, and Ogmandino. All of those meant something to me. I really did those.
And you saw an ad for the National Speakers Association?
Well, I was bumbling around, stumbling. The only people I knew to find to speak to were the service clubs. So I didn't get paid, but I spoke to all the service clubs in the whole Gulf Coast area. We lived in Houston.
Mm-hmm.
And the Kiwanis, the Rotaries, all of them.
Sure.
And so I got my bearings speaking to them. And after several months, one day they all stood up and clapped. And it terrified me. I thought, what's happening? and so I said, you just got your first standing ovation.
Oh.
And so I was in heaven then. And so the way I got to know about the National Speakers Association, it started 3 years after I left Expo. I saw a friend of mine, and that's the one secret. Tell all your friends what you're trying to do, and they'll help you. So one of my friends said, Lee, have you ever heard of Success Magazine? And she said, well, I brought you a copy. She said, it seems like this is right up your alley. Maybe you'll find something to help you. And believe me, oh, my God, I got a miracle. I looked through the magazine, and I was about ready to put it down. And the last 2 pages were just filled with little ads. And my eyes focused on one tiny little ad at the bottom of one page, and it said, Second Convention, National Speakers Association, Phoenix, Arizona, Biltmore Hotel, July 23rd to 25th. Telephone number. Call for reservations. There was no email and no computer.
Back then, no internet. Yes.
That's right. So I thought, oh, bingo. That's my answer. I found it. There's a whole association. I picked up the phone and I dialed. While the phone was ringing, I lost my courage.
Mm.
The little negative voice came in and said, hang up that phone. You're not a professional speaker.
Mm.
They're going to laugh at you. You're calling a professional outfit, and you don't have that experience. Don't do this. Don't embarrass yourself. But the man answered before I had time to hang up.
Oh.
So I got a miracle.
You did.
And that voice on the other end of the line sounded like this. You won't believe it, Sonny.
Tell me.
It said, National Speakers Association, Bill Johnson speaking. Can I help you? Oh, my God. He was a good old Texas boy.
Yeah.
On the other end of that telephone.
Yeah.
And he was so kind and so wonderful. And I said, oh, my God, I'm not really a professional speaker. I just want to be. And he said, come on out, Lee. We'll make one out of you. Isn't that something?
Music to your ears.
I called reservations when I hung up. I got on that airplane. I went out to Phoenix by myself. I walked in that Biltmore Hotel, and over to the side was a table that said National Speakers Association. And I went over there, and they welcomed me, and they said, have the bellboy take your bags up to your room as quickly as possible. There is a rally in town, and we're going to have a bus waiting, and we're going to go downtown from 1 o'clock to 9. I said, what's a rally? They said, we're going to have 19,000 people come see the leading professional speakers in America today.
Wow.
Oh, my God. Is this interesting?
It is. It's incredible. And again, you know, you wonder what would have happened if you had started your career way early, just out of college. But this was almost a stage. You don't you feel like you were more qualified to take this all in at this point in your life?
It was the timing.
Yes.
There was no Professional Speakers Association.
Right. Back then, yes.
There were no. The only professional speakers were the humorists that got paid a living. The other speakers at all the conventions were professors in college and professional doctors and lawyers.
Sure.
And they were not speakers. So the industry, one man, Kavik Robert, saw a great need for professional speakers. They need someone beside just humorists. And so all of these wonderful subjects and everything, and experts on subjects, people who knew how to speak. And then in the beginning, the masters were teaching us how to speak themselves. And Zig Ziglar was one of the most wonderful, generous givers of teaching. And these men taught us. We would stay in these classrooms until late at night, and they would just pour out their souls, teaching us every trick in the book. So I took notes, copious notes, and so I just came. I was so inspired, and I felt like they taught us how to do the business as well as the skill of speaking. Every single part of it, even how to pack a suitcase. Yeah, they did. And I can truthfully tell you that it was contacts with wonderful people that helped me with everything. People would tell my name and refer me. My first out-of-the-country trip was Mexico City. So I did 2 seminars in Mexico City. And then the next one is the miracle I wanted to tell you about. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. I went to about the 10th or 12th National NSA meeting, National Speakers,
Yes.
in New Orleans. And Dr. Norman Vincent Peale was there.
Wow.
And the first miracle I had read everything and studied him and listened to every tape he ever produced. So I kind of copycatted him and took him for my mentor. And so when I saw him in person, I waited in line, and when I went up to him, I said, Dr. Peale, you don't know it, but you have been my vicarious mentor for the past 12 years, and you've helped me so much. And he looked at my name tag, and he leaned over, he put his hand on my shoulder, and he said, Lee, why didn't you call me?
Oh.
I would have helped you.
Oh.
Oh, my God, it never dawned on me in a million years that I could call him and he would help me. But somebody else did, a guy by the name of Les Brown.
Wow.
You know who he is?
Oh, yes, of course.
And so Dr. Peale really meant it. He would have helped me. But anyway, he really helped me vicariously. And so, anyway, he said, but you know what? You've got that same enthusiasm that I do, so I'm sure you're going to do okay. And so that was a big, huge thrill. That was just wonderful. But that wasn't all of it. The last day, I woke up tired, and they told us the day before, don't miss the next morning session, the one before we dismiss you to go home. It's going to be wonderful. Don't miss it, whatever you do. But I woke up tired, and I made up my mind to sleep in, have breakfast in bed, and leisurely get dressed and go to the airport. And I had a nice time. That was going to end my convention. And you know what?
What?
a little voice started nagging me, and he started, Lee, you need to go down there. You need to go. And I kept arguing with it. I'm tired. I told you, I don't want to go. I've had enough. I've been to every session. I'm worn out. I'm going to sleep. And I could not go back to sleep. And the voice kept on. And then I got scared. I had the idea, oh, my God, it might be warning me. Since I'm on the 28th floor, maybe the hotel's about to catch on fire. And I couldn't get out of here. And so with that impetus, I got up and I got dressed. So I went downstairs, and of course I was late. When I opened the big ballroom doors, everybody looked at me, and the room was full, about 1,000 people, and not one empty chair. So I stood there looking like a dum-dum. And out of the middle of the room, a hand went up and motioned for me to come over. So I walked across the ballroom and went direct in the direction of that hand and stepped over a couple of people. And there was a lovely man who said, hello, I'm Dr. Oscar Pack from Cologne, Germany. Have a seat. And I sat down, and when it was over, he said, this is my first convention. And I said, well, this is my 12th convention. And he said, oh, you must know a lot, Miss Lee. And I said, well, I don't know it all for sure, so I keep coming to learn from them. And so he said, Miss Lee, would you do me the honor of having lunch with me in the dining room before we leave? And I thought, well, you know what? I'm not going to be in a taxi or leave the hotel, so surely I'll be safe. There'll be lots of people in the dining room. I said, yes, I'd love to. And so we had 2 hours of wonderful talking. And at the end of 2 hours, he leans across the table and he says, Miss Lee, would you like for me to be your sponsor and to have you come to Munich, Germany,
Wow.
and do your training program on how to train secretaries to be extraordinary secretaries? And I said, yes, of course, of course, of course. And that's how I got to go overseas.
Oh.
And he was true to his word. I did go, and they had 500 German secretaries, all of whom spoke English.
Oh.
Yeah, and so I got the names of these women from different countries, and I kept in contact with them. And that's how I got the introduction to different companies. So I kept going back to Europe, and I had work in Brussels, in Amsterdam, and in London, and so I had more business overseas than I had in the United States, but something drastic was happening that I didn't realize. I had begun to take my wonderful, patient, long-suffering husband for granted, and he got enough of it. So when I came home one night, he met me at the airport, and he didn't say a word, and he was deadly solemn. I said, Joe, what's the matter? He said, oh, I'm just thinking. What are you thinking about? About to lose my wife. I said, no, you're not. What's the matter? What's the matter? No, you're not about to lose me. He said, yes, I am. He said, I figured that I'm about priority number 31 in your book, and I don't have to have that. I want a wife, not someone that comes in and visits occasionally, and I don't have to put up with this. I give you 30 days to get that blankety blank blank business in order, in balance with your marriage, or I am out of here. And I knew he meant it. Well, I was terrified, and I didn't know how to balance, and I only knew I didn't want to lose my marriage.
Sure.
And I shut down like crazy.
Wow. How old were you at this point?
I was 68.
So most people are already retired by then. You were
Yeah.
still going strong, and
And-
now you had to make a decision to stop everything.
Yes, and I was miserable. So I moped around, and it took me a year to get my head on straight and thought, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? And not travel. And finally the idea came to me, oh my God, I could create a speakers bureau, and I wouldn't have to travel, but I would still be in the speaking business, and I could market other speakers, and when they got a standing ovation, I'd feel like I got one.
Wow.
And that would satisfy me.
Yes.
And so I created Amazing Speakers and Trainers International. And I started marketing other people to market instead of doing it myself.
Isn't that something?
And it was fulfilling.
Yes.
It was wonderful.
Yes. It was like full circle.
So I did that until I was at 89. You still with me?
I'm with you.
At 89, a strange, terrible thing happened. I went to the doctor, who's skin doctor. What do they call?
The skin doctor, yes.
Yeah,
Dermatologist.
yeah, and I had never had a body check. Now this will be a warning to your listeners.
Mm-hmm.
If they've never had a body check, make an appointment and go have one today. Had a body check, and she said, Lee, the inside of your right side of your nose is jet black. Did you know it? And you've got a little gray discoloring on the top of your nose. Did you know it? Well, yeah, I've been putting bleach cream on that. And she said, Lee, I think we need to take a biopsy. Would you object to that? No. And of course, I'm in a daze, and I'm an optimist, so I think it's just a waste of time.
Mm-hmm.
So I go home, and when I get the verdict, it's melanoma cancer.
Oh.
But I'm in stage 1. In melanoma cancer, they do not give radiation or chemotherapy.
Yes.
They don't do that. Only surgery. So she sent me to a reconstructive plastic surgeon, and he told me I had to have my nose cut off and replaced. And I was horrified.
Oh.
And he showed me pictures of what melanoma can do to people. And I had it very mildly because some people lose half of their face.
Sure.
And so I started crying. I just broke down, and I wasn't prepared for that. And I've never considered myself a vain person. But the thought of having my nose cut off was terrifying. And so I had to do it because I didn't have any alternative. And it lasted a year and a half. He completely rebuilt my nose. And you couldn't tell it now unless you get a microscope.
No, you look fantastic. And we've got a picture on our website, sunnyradio.com. You'll be able to see this beautiful lady. And you know, you told me that at this point in your life, when you're in a parking lot and you see a stranger, what do you want them to ask you?
Would you like to know how old I am?
And when they say yes, what do you say?
I say I'm only 94.
Oh,
I'm so proud of it.
yes. I can hear
when I
it.
hit 90, you're kind of in a special league or top priority or high class. And you know, I don't mean to brag about it. The good Lord blessed me with 2 miracles above all else. And number 1 is enthusiasm.
Yes.
You probably detected that. Like
Yes.
you.
Yes.
You and I got an overdose of, or no, not an overdose, a heavy dose of enthusiasm.
Yes,
Isn't that
exactly.
wonderful? And then we also inherited this absolute inability to realize that we're getting older. I am still holding at 50.
I agree.
And inside, I just don't grow older.
I understand.
I don't know why, but I just cannot. The inside of me is still young. And I'm still a big kid. And I want to make it to at least 105.
How is that for optimism? Thank you, Lee Moczygemba, for your inspiration. And you can find out more about Lee at sunnyradio.com/show, where you can also listen to past shows on demand. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. Until next time, I'm Sonny Melendrez, and Lee has one final thought.
Tell your audience to adopt the attitude of gratitude, and that's the magic key.
Amen.
Bye-bye.